guys, it's time to talk about Jessica Jones Season 2. If you guys don't know what Jessica Jones is a character, a superhero from Marvel, and on Netflix she has her own TV series, Jessica Jones. It had a first season, which was just called Jessica Jones, and now we have a second season. I have seen the season, and I'd like to share my thoughts about Jessica Jones Season 2 with you. Keep in mind, this is going to be spoiler-free. I know that not everybody has had a chance to see Jessica Jones yet. If you're worried about me spoiling things for you or messing things up, don't worry. Lips are sealed. I'm not going to spoil anything. Jessica Jones once again stars Krysten Ritter as the title character of Jessica Jones. And in Season 2, which I'm assuming takes place sometime after The Defenders, Jessica Jones and her friend Malcolm are once again working with Alias Investigations. She's a private eye. She spies on people. She takes money for it. She's pretty good at it. Her friend Trish stumbles upon some secrets from her past, though, with this mysterious corporation called IGH that leads to Jessica becoming a little bit more interested in all that happened to her after the accident years ago that cost her family. She starts asking questions like, how did I get these powers? Who gave me these powers? Who else did they give these kind of powers to? What exactly was the whole deal with that? And so she starts investigating that along with the help of Trish and Malcolm, and it's one of those cases where the more she and her friends investigate it, the more danger all of them are in as they get deeper into this mysterious corporation called IGH. Anytime you have a second season that is trying to build off of a successful first season, I feel like more shows should try to follow the formula that Jessica Jones tried to do this season. Because you can't just bring the band back together and try to do the exact same thing, have the same characters, go through the same type of shit that they went through the first time, and expect that people are still going to enjoy it the same way. It's been a few years since Jessica Jones. My life has changed, and as human beings, we grow and evolve. So I would hope that Season 2 of Jessica Jones also grows and evolves and takes the characters to new and interesting places. That's what Jessica Jones Season 2 tried to do. It tried to challenge these characters. It tried to take them in places and directions that you wouldn't have expected. It tries to break these characters down on a more psychological and emotional level than it did in Season 1. And with the story, they tried to open the story up and make it even bigger. And there were some execution problems along the way, but either way, I respect the fact that they didn't just try to do the same exact formula as Season 1. Honestly, in order for you to have a successful Season 2, you have to try this type of stuff. As a result, when you open it up a little bit more and when you take the characters in some weird and different directions, there's going to be some things that work about it, and there's going to be some things that don't work about it. One of the things that always works about it for me is Krysten Ritter. Krysten Ritter is brilliant in this role. I swear she is. Season 1, it was really the dynamic between her and her arch nemesis Kilgrave that was really the driving point of the show. This time, it's Jessica and her complicated relationship with her past that's really driving the show. Krysten Ritter does a great job at playing the tortured hero, the reluctant hero. She tries to act like she doesn't give a shit most of the time. Hell, some of the time she actually doesn't give a shit. But you can tell that she wants to help people, she wants to do good, and she doesn't want to be dragged down by the baggage of her past. The more she gets into her past, the more unraveled she gets, and the more revelations that she uncovers along the way, the more you feel for her. I would say that in this season, Jessica Jones is a little bit more empathetic than she was even in Season 1. You also get to see little things that pop up along the way. You get to see why she even calls her PI firm Alias Investigations. The other characters are back, and they all are also growing and changing and evolving, just like I said Season 2s have to do, and that has some mixed results, honestly. Trish was one of the bright spots of Season 1. Her relationship with Jessica is once again a focal point in this show, just like it was in Season 1, but whereas in Season 1, it kind of added to the overall quality of the show, I would definitely say the relationship between Trish and Jessica is definitely not as easygoing around this time. Yeah, there's some real heartache, there's some real emotion, there's some real challenges these two have to go through as friends, and by the end of it, I was surprised to find that I like Trish a lot less now. The character arc that Trish is going through in this season, where she has like this thirst to prove herself, she gets mixed up into some very dangerous things, you find yourself at the end going, damn, Trish is just, she's just kind of unlikable now, which is weird, because Jessica is supposed to be the unlikable character, but now it's Trish. That was kind of a bummer for somebody that rooted for Trish in Season 1 and who liked the relationship between her and Jessica. You come out of the season, you go, yeah, Trish, she was kind of a bitch sometimes. Again, you understand that you have to take her character, you have to change her in some way, but in this case, they changed her to the point where her story, which also ebbed and flowed in and out of the main narrative at inconsistent intervals, it just made me not connect to her as much. And then certain decisions that she made just kind of made me go, Trish is just not the same. I would say the same thing goes for Malcolm. Malcolm is also pushed to his limit in this season in a lot of different ways, some of which I like, some of which I didn't like. And by the end of the season, though, you don't really like him as much. And Malcolm, again, he's supposed to be likable. I don't know, I find that weird, I find that fascinating. It'll be interesting to see their character and relationship dynamics going forward. But suffice it to say, I didn't like how the season handled certain things with Trish, and I didn't like how it handled certain things with Malcolm. Here's the worst kept secret in the history of television. You ready for it? Every TV show has filler, like every single one. The difference is how the filler is executed and if the filler can still keep you engaged as a member of the audience. And you also put up with the filler if the filler can add into the story organically or if it can add something to the season as a whole. And I would say this is where the big flaws of season 2 start to rear their head. I think that the filler in this season feels like dead weight. There are subplots and things that are going on during this season that feel like background noise. They feel like extra drama, and none of it really adds to the overall story arc of the season. Some of it just feels like extra added on weight that doesn't really contribute to the quality of the season. You guys remember Jerry Hogarth, right? Played by Carrie-Anne Moss, played by Carrie-Anne Moss. She's back in the season as the shark lawyer, and whereas in Jessica Jones season 1, she was kind of challenged from a marriage perspective, here she's challenged kind of from a life perspective. That's all I can say about that. While sometimes you do feel bad for Jerry Hogarth and her situation that she goes through in this season, I also can't deny that it was easily one of the least interesting components of this season. Sorry, they tried their absolute best to make Hogarth's story interesting, and it just didn't work for me. When you have filler like that, when you have other subplots that start popping up along the way, including a potential love interest for Jessica in her building, you have a rival PI that's trying to push down on her territory, and you're going through all of these different subplots, and you're trying to get to the real meat and potatoes of the season, you can't help but feel a little bit bored. Jessica Jones season 1 had filler, but it at least was building towards a consistent narrative, and this is the biggest issue I have with season 2. Season 2 doesn't really have a consistent narrative. It's kind of meandering after a while. When they focus on the mystery of Jessica Jones and her past, and IGH, and what IGH is, and then other powered people who were experimented on by this mysterious company, and then a surprising revelation that happens along the way. When they focus on all of that, there are some really compelling and intriguing mystery shit going on in Jessica Jones season 2. But then at a certain point, you feel like the story stops building and it just kind of starts meandering and kind of just starts wandering around, not really knowing how they were going to conclude this thing. Say what you want to about season 1, but at least it was building towards something. In season 2, I feel like the narrative was inconsistent at times, and as a result, you're watching it and you're feeling like, I don't know if we're building towards something. Like, where are we going here? One of my favorite episodes of the season is one where David Tennant reappears. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, David Tennant has a cameo in the show. I can't really spoil the nature of how he comes back in the show, but the episode that he was in is like one of the best episodes of the season, hands down. Direction for the show is overall pretty decent, and Kristen Ritter is once again a revelation as Jessica Jones. Seriously, she owns this role, and she is instantly watchable every second that she is on screen. While there are some great moments overall in this season, I think that the narrative is a little bit too inconsistent for me. I think that the filler is not executed in a way that keeps the audience engaged, and I also didn't really like the direction that they took some of the characters. They made some of the characters by the end a little bit more unlikable than they were before. And I don't really come down too hard on season 2 based on the fact that they didn't have the big bad. You know, they didn't have the big villain. David Tennant is not here as Kilgrave. There's really no huge overarching villain for season 2. I don't criticize it for that if the rest of the show is executed in a way that makes me think that it's a good thing. The execution of the show was kind of sloppy, and as a result, you can't help but look back on the season and go, damn, they really did miss Kilgrave as the villain. Suicide Squad, Joker is not really supposed to be in the movie all that much. It's called Suicide Squad, not Joker Squad. Joker's supposed to be a supporting character. He's supposed to be a side dish. He's not really supposed to be there all that much. So when people were disappointed that he wasn't in the movie, I was kind of like, okay, I can put up with that. That's okay. The only problem is the plot and the villain for Suicide Squad were kind of subpar, and so that made me look at the movie as a whole and go, wow, you know what? If the villain and the plot were a little bit better, I wouldn't be saying this. But since they're not, this movie could have benefited from more Joker. It's the same thing here with Kilgrave, I'm afraid to say. I still walked away from Jessica Jones with a positive experience overall, and I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 supers. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Jessica Jones. It's good, not great, but that's okay. I can't wait to see what else Netflix Marvel has in store for us. Alright guys, so have you seen Jessica Jones Season 2? How did it compare to Season 1 for you? And list your favorite moments from either season down in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!